So students will be getting a view of what is organizational behavior. This is the first module. Part of it is already been covered in your previous two lectures. So what is organizational behavior? So you can see it is abbreviated as OB. It is the field of study that investigates the impact that individuals, groups and structure have on behavior within organization for the purpose of applying such knowledge towards improving an organization's effectiveness. So it is the study of what people do in an organization and how their behavior affects the total performance of that particular organization. So basically, suppose there is the company you have started and you have employed certain members in that particular company as employees. So it is the relation among the employees, it is the relation how you will have with your employees. It is basically the relationship among the employees as well as the relationship between the employees with the employer. Okay, so it is basically studying the practices and performance based activities of individual or groups or the organization. Basically it is this particular aspect is known as organizational behavior. So it is also understood as the study of the interpersonal as well as the intrapersonal behavior of the individuals that are that are working for that particular organization. Okay, so in the OB model there are certain attributes that you need to take into account. What are those attributes? Attitude. Basically it is broadly classified into three types. The attributes are the OB model is being classified into three, basically three broader attributes are there. What are those? Individual, group and organization. So these three attributes are there. Among the individual there are four attributes, or you can say sub attributes. What are those under your individual aspect? What are those? Attitude, personality, perception and motivation. We'll study one by one what are those. So I'm just giving a brief overview of it. So what is attitude? It is the way of thinking or behaving towards something. So this is known as attitude. Another sub attribute of individuality is personality. So what is personality? It is a set of qualities or characteristics an individual shows while working for a particular organization. Okay, so this is another sub attribute of an individual aspect of OB model. Next is perception. So what is perception? It is the way of understanding things or giving a meaning to a certain information. Okay, so next is motivation. This is the fourth sub attribute of individual aspect of OB model. So what is motivation? It is the different driving forces for a particular individual who is working for that organization. Okay, so these are the sub attributes of individuality at the individuality level. Next is at the group level. What are the attributes? That is group dynamism, team building and leadership. So what do you mean by group dynamism? It is the individual characteristics that help employees to work as a group. This is known as group dynamism. Another is team building. If a group is developed officially, it becomes a team, and how it is behaving like a team is known as team building. Or while building up of the team, what are the things you need to take into account? Those will be studied under the team building attribute. Okay, last is leadership. You can understand what is leadership. It is the captain who has the ability to lead others into in a certain team is known as leadership. So this is another sub attribute that is relevant in group. So there are in group there are three sub attributes. What are those? Group dynamism, team building and leadership. And the third attribute of OB model is organizational aspect. So there in it comes two sub attributes, which are those organizational development and organizational change. So in organizational development, it is basically it is aimed for a long period of time. So every organization needs a certain growth. You can understand there is a certain growth of certain growth that is expected from a particular organization, and looking into the long period of the things, what is the particular thing they are modifying will be coming under your organizational development. And change means organizational change means it is certainly looking for a short period of time, for a certain duration. What is the change you need to adopt so that you can get the maximum productivity in the certain period of time will be coming under this organizational change. So why do we study organizational behavior? So one by one, if you look, so what are the various aspects, what is the importance? First we will tell you what is the scope of organizational behavior. So there are 3 points. What are those? First one, it is universal. Your organizational behavior is universal, which means it is present everywhere. That means whether it is a small firm or a large firm like MNC, whatever be the size or the capacity of the firm the organization has, irrespective of that, whether it is an MNC or a small firm, this is relevant in each of these companies. Okay. And second point is, what is the scope of OB? The second point is it is multidimensional in nature, which means it is relevant in each and every activity of a certain organization. In each and every activity it is relevant, so it is multidimensional. And the last point is, it is a combination of different studies like management, sociology and behavior sciences. There are many studies that are involved in this particular aspect. Okay. So what are the various importances of organizational behavior? Why you need to adopt this particular thing? So first point is, it is important because it helps in developing interpersonal relationship. That means it is the employees who are working for a particular organization needs to have a good relationship among them, so that you can get the most productivity. Okay. So it is very important because it helps in developing that particular aspect. Second point is, we can understand why people behave in a specific way, as well as the reason behind working in a group. So while working in a group, as because this is we already discussed the OB model here, team building, leadership, these were the various aspects that were taken into account. So this thing particularly helps to understand why a certain team or a certain individual works in a certain way. The behavior, those things will be taken care of. Okay. So next is another important aspect is that through organizational behavior we can lead people or manage people, because leadership is one of the aspects that is very important for your OB model. So through leadership you can lead people and manage people. Last one is, we can explain the individual and the group characteristics. Of course the personality, attitude, these attributes are there. So through those OB model attributes we can explain how a particular individual or a group works and what are the characteristics that are associated with that particular group or individual. Okay. So there are quite positive things, as well as certainly there are negative things as well. So what are the negative aspects? What are can be defined as limitation and challenges or organizational behavior? There are 8 such limitations. First one is workforce diversity. So what do you mean by workforce diversity? Because in today's organization is totally different from organizations of centuries back. So what happened in previous days, in ancient times, what happened? Companies were developed in families. Means there are family businesses being run by various families. So the size of those companies were quite small. So as a result, at that point of time, it was basically managed. Those companies were managed by the people who were in the family itself. Mainly, the family members used to manage those companies. Okay, so the mindset of the people who are working for that company is almost the same because they come from the same background, you can understand. But nowadays the companies are being managed by, so there are foreigners also who are managing who are part of the company. So as a result, the workforce diversity is quite large, it is quite diversified, the thinking, the attitude, the personality of all the people who are involved in that particular company is not the same. So there is this particular thing is a challenge, or you can say is a limitation for a company, because nowadays the companies are run by people from different race, from different background, who have different thinking altogether, right? So second limitation is changed demographics. So what is changed demographics? Because the old companies, in the ancient times what happened, the head of the companies used to be old aged people. Okay, so the old aged people used to give comment to the subsequent lower aged groups. Okay, and accordingly the lower aged groups would work according to the need or instructions given by the old people. In the ancient times it was this was the thing that was being followed. But nowadays what happens, irrespective of the age, your capacity to do work or your skill set and all those things are taken into account, and you are being told to direct the people who are working under you. It may be certain people are aged way above than your age. Okay, it may be certainly that. So there is some ego clash, or you can say the old aged people, what they think that I am being instructed by a fellow colleague whose age is way less than mine, so why I would listen to that? So this ego comes into picture, and accordingly this demographical thing is another limitation which cause hindrance to your organizational behavior, because nowadays the companies are not age restricted. It may happen that a young fellow who is certainly being employed in a company is so skilled that he is managing the pupil who is working under him, who may be way more than his age. So accordingly uh, the instructions that is being passed on by the fellow person to a older person may cause some ego clash for that particular old aged person, right? So accordingly it may happen to be like that, and this is another challenge. So how will manage that? There are certain things that through which you can manage that. So this is another limitation for your organizational behavior. Third point is employee expectations. So employee expectations, suppose there are certain section of the people working for a company, so they have their expectations keep on raising with time. Why? Because they expect the basic salary, like not only they expect the basic salary, but with that the pension, the DA, gratuity, this part they try to focus on while working for a company, because they are working for quite a number of years, so their expectation from a company also increases. So but the company may not be able to produce that much output in order to sustain those expectations, right? So the employee expectations is certainly another aspect which cause hindrance to your organizational behavior, because the company may not be able to produce or being able to give that much provide that much facility as per the expectation of the employees. It may not be able to produce that much expectations, right? So in that particular case the employees, because their expectations is way high than whatever they are getting, they may get bit means they might not feel that much interactive in their works, right? So this is another thing that cause hindrance to organizational behavior. Next is globalization. So nowadays, because the companies are wide scaled, most of the companies are widely scaled, so there is you need to export and import items from abroad. This term is known as globalization, right? Where you need to say procure goods from abroad as well as sell your goods to the foreign countries, right? So this is certainly a limitations for means this diversification, you can understand that is a limitation for your organizational behavior. Next is re-engineering. The companies should always check the efficiency of the existing system, as you can understand, but if there is certainly a scope of modification, it should be modified, or you can say this is known as re-engineering. So this re-engineering completely disrupts the total functioning of your organization, right? So this re-engineering is another aspect that causes hindrance to the proper functioning of your organization, and thus is a limitation or a challenge for your organizational behavior. Next is total quality management, or in short TQM. So what TQM, it believes in maintaining quality of the highest standard. Total quality management believes in maintaining the standard of the quality of the highest means level. So basically there is a term sigma in your organizational behavior. So in sigma, one sigma means it promotes uh, towards the achieving of not even one defective item in 10 lakh units of production. So a company should be able to achieve sigma. I think you have understood what is sigma. One sigma sigma means not even a defective product in 10 lakh units of production. So this sigma should be achieved for a company which is producing goods. Not even per 10 lakh units of production there should be one defective product. Okay, so this total quality management, because of this thing, in order to try to achieve sigma, there are a quite means you need to make the manpower quite skilled. You need to get the raw materials, the equipments, all those quite good in nature, so that you can maintain the sigma. So this is another thing that is a big challenge for your organizational behavior. Next is bias free behavior. So in a particular organizations, some of the employees, they try to act good, and while some other employees uh, becomes the scapegoat for the means some are acting good and some are really doing their job, but who are acting good are trying to make the other scapegoat for their own benefit. So this is another aspect which cause hindrance, because you can understand some employees are working in their own way, in their for the benefit of the company, whereas others are not working that much. But what happens, they are working not as much, but they try to make those who are working effectively or efficiently for the company scapegoat for their own benefit. Okay, so this bias nature should not be means established in a particular company, and it should be eradicated then and there itself. Okay, this is another challenge. And last one, the eighth point is ethics. So maintenance of ethics throughout the company is next to impossible, but it should be achieved. The ethical point of view should be taken into consideration, and it should be means maintained throughout the company. So you can see means there are quite 8 number of challenges, but all of this can be controlled through proper organizational behavior, like your workforce diversity we have already discussed. There are people from various regions or groups or culture who have different mindset, but while working for a company, their aim should be single point agenda, that is, we are working for the company, we should be able to produce the maximum output for that particular company. We should, our main motto should be the benefit of the company. So irrespective of the race or culture or whatever diversity they have, if they aim for a certain thing, they should be unified in that particular aim, and they should try to achieve it. Demographics, change demographics is another aspect, where the old aged people should not think that he is aged lower than me, so he cannot give instructions. This should not be the thing. A particular person who is working, means the old aged people who are working for that company, should feel that the person who is above him, whether he or she is above or below his age, he should respect that particular chair, that he is the boss of mine, so I should work according to the instructions that is been given to him. Irrespective of the age should not be a concern for any of the employees. He or she should think that this particular person is instructing me, he is above me, and he is telling me whatever for the benefit of the company. He is not telling anything for his own benefit. He is telling for the benefit of the company. So I so I should give attention to his words and act accordingly. The expectations of the employees, yes, the employees are going to expect a lot from the company, specifically if they are working for quite a number of years. Those should be adequately being fulfilled by the companies as well, but it should be on a mutual level, that the company should give should provide their expectations to the employees, as well as the employees should be expecting as per the means basic scope what the organizations can provide to the employees. They should understand that, and accordingly the expectation should be from the company that can be easily fulfilled. Not like that they should expect, suppose it is they are getting 50,000 of salary, in 1 year of time they should be expecting a salary of suppose 1 lakh. It should not be like that. 50,000 may be increased to 55,000. So accordingly this should be followed. The expectation should be as per the limitations. The employees should expect as per the limitation, and the company or the organization should try to fulfill the expectation. It should come hand in hand. It should not be that one is working throughout and the expectations are not met, or the expectations are so high that it cannot be met. It should be a proper parity should be there. Globalizations, as because the companies are quite diversified, as I've told you, the export import thing should be taken into account, and it should be judged accordingly. The re-engineering as per the need, the re-engineering of the total company needs to be done, which is challenging, but it should be taken into account as well. Okay, the total quality management, I've told you, every company's aim should be trying to achieve that sigma value. Sigma means producing not even one defective product in 10 lakh units of production. So this should be properly followed in order to benefit the particular company. The company last but one was the bias free behavior. The company should not be biased at all. The heads should not be biased towards his fellow workers who are working under him. He should not hold any preference. He may hold preference outside his own means office time, that one may be close to another. Suppose you have a friend which is close to you than your other fellow classmates. It may happen to be like that, but while supplying the notes, you should provide notes to each and every individual of the class. Similarly, for in a particular organization, the heads of the organization should be equally supplying the things to all the fellow employees who are working under him. He should not provide any biased environment, and it causes, if he provides biased environment, it causes hindrance to the overall development of that company, because who are not so good in the eyes of that particular head will not be getting that much resources from that particular head, and as a result they may get demotivated, and which will in turn cause your overall productivity of the organization to go down, right? So and the last one was the ethics. So ethics should be followed. Ethics is very important aspect. It should be followed, and accordingly the company should be able to work properly. If these are the challenges and limitations, whatever 8 we have discussed, if these are followed in a particular company, then the company will be fruitful, and it can produce the effective productiveness which is expected from that particular company. So thank you. If you have any question, you can ask through mail or your Canvas portal, anything.